All right, everybody, welcome to Beyond the Horror, episode 1, covering the pilot episode for American Horror Story Apocalypse. Wow, that was a great episode. Please welcome my guests, of course, the awesome Tami Sifford. Covering the pilot episode for American Horror Story Apocalypse. I am so sorry, that is me. Great episode. Please welcome my guests, of course, the awesome Tami Sifford. I'm sorry. I had a double shot of my YouTube up. I'm so sorry. That was me. So I'm sorry, Tami. I screwed up your introduction. Please.
That's okay. Hi. Good to be back.
Absolutely. And of course, we have Casey.
Hi, everybody. Glad to also be back.
Yes. And we have a new newcomer to Beyond the Horror. And everybody, please welcome Kenny in the comments.
Bonjour.
Hi, Kenny.
Hello.
All right, real quickly, I got to give a huge shout out to my patrons. Number 1 is Kenny Joseph, Michael Mullins Wright, Lisa Lee, No-Tell Hotel, Alicia, Mia and baby Jalen, George, Scott, X Misa, Dawn, John, the Leopard Cat, Connor, Cody, Sookie, Shane, Mike, Nikki, Ethan, and Debbie, and Adam, Anthony, Melatones, Gary, Jason, Johnny, Music Geek, Albert, Alexandra, Steve, R2, Stephanie, Yessie, Sharon, and Tami.
And me. I'm always last.
Oh, we saved the best for last.
Thank you.
All right. First impressions. Let's start with Kenny. First impressions on this episode.
My wig was blown away. Like the first 5 minutes, it was like action packed.
Yes.
Like, it was really quick, fast paced. I really liked it. It was definitely, it's very different. It's a little dark. Like I had to turn up my TV's brightness. But I guess that's just the aesthetic.
Absolutely. What did you think about it, Casey?
At the end.
I thought it was a very strong pilot to the season, I guess. Overall, I thought it was really good, and I'm happy that they didn't shove Murder House and Kevin in our face in the first episode, that they gave us something new to look forward to instead of a lot of old. And I think they sort of set up a really interesting season with this episode, so I'm very happy. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Tami?
I loved the beginning and the end. The middle was a bit, I don't know if you guys, I keep referring to, from everything I've seen, there's an old movie called The Divide. And it was like basically the same kind of scenario. And it reminded me a lot of that movie, which I hated, but I still loved it. I thought it was great. But like Casey said, I'm glad they didn't push Murder House and Kevin right in our face right away.
Because this is supposed to be Apocalypse, not the Murder House Coven show.
But the end, you have to admit, was amazing. I loved it.
Yes, absolutely.
We didn't get a preview for next week. I'm so pissed we didn't get a preview.
I'm very glad we did not, and I wish we wanted to got the trailer, because I feel like this season we need to go in with no expectations for anything, and I want them to literally do whatever the hell they can think up of, and I don't want any hint at all. So honestly, I'm glad we didn't get a preview, because I don't want to have any idea as to what's happening next week. I want to sit down on my couch, turn on the TV, and be surprised with everything that happens. And besides the witchy scenes, we pretty much saw everything in the trailer in this episode. Almost everything.
Almost, yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, then let's go on ahead then, and let's review the episode very quickly for those of you out there who also watched it. This was episode 1, and it was written by Ryan and Brad, and it was directed by Bradley Bucker. And so the episode opens with Evan as Coco's hairdresser, and Mallory is her assistant. And I gotta say, Coco is really bitchy and very reminiscent of Chanel.
Uh-huh.
She was hilarious. I mean, I loved her already just by her bitching everybody out.
Coco Chanel.
Right. Coco Chanel. Oh my God. Kenny, that's awesome. I didn't know Coco Chanel. Now, while she's there with Evan, Coco gets a text about a missile launch. It's like, I guess everybody is on the text list or something, but she thinks it's false news, but her father calls her and she puts him on speakerphone when she's right there in the salon. And he tells her that it's true, a missile's coming, and she has an hour before LA is hit. So the entire world is going crazy. So she calls her boyfriend, Brock, because she has to get to a plane at the airport before it leaves. And her boyfriend is played by Brock, or is played by Billy Eichner, and he's very far away. And sadly, he doesn't get to the plane in time. The plane is on autopilot, and nobody is driving, which is weird. And the opening ends with the bomb hitting the city and the plane sort of going down. But it was a great opening. I mean, it was just very panicky. Oh my God, a lot of adrenaline in the first opening episode. I definitely thought that was a great way to open it.
Everything happened so fast before the opening credits scene, and I think that was just the perfect way to start it off. And I don't want to speak for everyone when I say this, but I do think they took a more interesting approach that not many, if at all, people predicted in the way they started the apocalypse. Because I think we were all thinking big with like the witches and Michael, and they start the apocalypse. But no, it was something much, much, much more realistic. And they're like, it's World War III. We're getting bombed. That's not something at all I saw coming. And I'm so glad they did that because I find it much more realistic. And I think in a way it loosely, in my mind at least, ties into Cult a little bit because of the world we're left with at the end of Cult. It sort of reminds me of that because Cult sort of ends with tensions rising in the country. That's my little thought.
What did you think, Kenny?
Did Allie ever make it to Senate?
Right?
I
don't know.
Don't know. She's dead.
I'm trying to do
probably.
math right now. Because what year is it now? Because they went from 4 months. I think they had an 8 months, and then what was it, 18 months? So what year are we currently in? Do you guys know?
October 2019.
I'd love to say that too, but that also doesn't make any sense because of the end of Hotel. So unless American Horror Story has no idea what they're doing, I have no idea. At this point, I think the timeline's completely screwed up, and we'll have to figure out where this goes on the timeline at the end of the season.
Yeah, I do think that they will explain it at the end of the season.
If not,
Did
that's
it start
lazy.
in 2019?
Absolutely.
Did it start this first episode?
I'm so sorry, Kenny. You're going to have to talk just a little louder, darling.
Did this first episode start in 2019, or did it start present day, right now?
Oh, well, it says it started October 2019, but in the storyline, it has actually progressed 18 months and 2 weeks.
Right, you know what else is?
What year are we in?
Well, if they started in October of that's when the apocalypse hit, then they would be about summer of 2020, or excuse me, of 2021. If that's where the storyline is right now.
Another maybe possibly good indication of where we are right now, time-wise, in case viewers out there are wondering. Don't forget, in the salon, Coco says, just like the false alarm they had in Hawaii a few months ago. So that would tell me the first of the episode does take place in September 2018, because just a few months ago, the Hawaii thing did happen with the false missile launch alarm.
Okay.
If that gives you guys any indication, I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
I know a lot of you out there too are here and you're hoping to get spoiler free Beyond the Horror, and I am so sorry, guys. The whole point of the show is to cover the actual episode, so I apologize. You're not going to be spoiler free here, and I would definitely recommend you to not watch if you don't want to be spoiled.
Sorry, guys.
I want to also say that if you guys want to show your support for the channel, just give it a thumbs up. If you want to go another step further, you can donate via Super Chat or via Patreon. Link to my Patreon is in the description. And all right, so there's one thing we have to talk about because it's the biggest thing of the episode. and that's the opening credits. What did you guys think of the opening credits?
Good. Glad to have it back.
Right.
At this point with American Horror Story, the opening credits are very comforting. So one of the first questions I asked myself as we eased into the episode was, what are they going to give us for the opening credits? And I was very pleased. I like that they used the Murder House theme song. I think that was a nice sort of tie-in. And I like that they used themes from both the Coven and the Murder House openings, but also something new for Apocalypse. I was very pleased. And I think they know what they're doing. I'm very, I must say, I want you guys to know I am incredibly pleased so far. I'm very happy. It was a great opening title sequence. With that being said, I do think I might have preferred Cult a bit better. Just because I like the customized theme song.
What did you think, Kenny, of the opening credits?
I noticed two things. I noticed Joan Collins was not featured in it, and I noticed that Emma Roberts was, which makes me think that she has a more bigger part for this season than we're actually being led on to believe.
Okay.
And then I just agree with you guys. I liked how they brought Coven and Murder House into the...
Yeah, we got clips of the Murder House opening sequences and the Coven opening sequences mixed in with images of an Antichrist and an apocalypse and stuff like that into the opening. So it was fantastic. And I did a reaction to it on Instagram, and the actual video will be available for the next 24 hours if you guys want to go watch it. It's on my social medias at MaryGirl Moody.
And
I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
He points out a good point in the fact that Joan Collins isn't in the opening title sequence when we know for a fact she's playing more than one character. So my thought process as of right now is people are going to get killed off and start playing a different character.
Yeah, right.
And honestly, that's not a bad idea. And just based off this first episode, I've got a strong feeling Miss Venable is going to have a terrible, terrible demise.
I agree.
I'm feeling the same thing.
I was thinking that during the episode.
Well, let's move on in the actual episode. Next, after the opening sequences, we meet Timothy and his mother and his brother. Though it is short-lived, they are celebrating his acceptance to UCLA. And that's when his dad busts into the house and tells them about the bomb and everything going on the news. And the family, they don't know what to do. There's nowhere for them to go. So they get together in this great big hug because they're preparing to die together. And that's when a military car pulls up outside and they storm into the house and they say that they're taking Timothy because he was selected to survive. He submitted his DNA into an ancestral DNA thing, and
remind me not to ever do that.
I thought that was really interesting because that's been a huge conspiracy theory recently.
Yeah, I will never.
That was my first thought. I texted another friend and I said, we're not doing that. No.
I won't either, sis. I completely agree with you. And I think a lot of people won't now because that's how they found the OG Night Stalker. That's how they're narrowing down the Zodiac. And that's how they're finding a lot of criminals these days. And obviously, I'm not a criminal or anything, but it would suck if I put my ancestry DNA in there and then we found out my great grandfather was Jack the Ripper or something like that.
Oh, gosh.
I think that'd be kind of cool, but that's me. I wouldn't want to be ripped away from my family and say,
exactly.
But they're not going to come for me, so I don't have to worry about it.
They're not going to come for me either. But the thing is they had to let him go. They could have resisted. I'm sure they would have shot them, but they did have to let their son go. So reluctantly he leaves and he's thrown into this little concrete underground bunker with Emily, and that's when they meet. And then, of course, the bomb goes off and the episode flash forwards to 2 weeks later. And after, some things have settled down after this 2 weeks, Emily and Timothy are given the radiation suits and they are put into a car and moved outside of the city. But right as soon as they are driven up to the outpost number 3, 2 people are being executed in the head right in front of the outpost as they drive up. So it's very foreboding. It's incredibly creepy and foreboding where they're going. And I don't know, you guys let me know in the comments, would you let your kid go? It's the end of the world and, you know, you would be dead. Would you take your kids with you, or would you give them a chance to survive not knowing what was going to be their future?
Well, it didn't look like they had much of a choice.
That's tough.
Like, they sort of forced it upon him, but, like, I don't know.
Would have fought him. But anyway, okay, so let's move on in the description. Venable, or excuse me, the 2 people come out of the outpost and they take Timothy and Emily inside of this big black circle building, but it's got a little curved entryway inside of it. They're decontaminated, and afterwards, Venable immediately arrives. Which is really cool too. Mallory is there, and she's dressed in these really gray clothes, and she helps everybody off with their stuff. And Venable takes them into the building, and she explains to them that it used to be a boys' school until it was converted when it became apparent what was going to happen. And I don't know about you guys, but it makes me wonder, was that like a witches' school? Was it a warlock school? It was a boys'
I was kind of wondering that too, like what significance it may have. And I figured if it has any significance, we'd figure it out. I don't know, but I feel like it'd be a little random for them to throw in that tiny little detail and then not come back to it. So maybe they will. But
now, Timothy and Emily are dressed in purple, and that means the elite, the worthy, the chosen ones. And the people dressed in gray are the workers. Venable is she is the face of the company called the Cooperative. And those are the ones who built the house. And the rules of the house. What?
Sorry, I coughed and said Venable at the Cooperative.
Oh, yeah. She's the face of them. But the rules in the house is that you must refer to Venable as Ms. Venable. You are never to leave the house, and if you do, you won't be allowed back in. And no unauthorized sex.
Copulation.
Yes. And later, the letter or the number 666 are written on a steamy mirror in Timothy's bathroom, and a female voice is whispering, "Beware, Timothy," to him.
I have a thought about that.
Okay, what's your thought?
I do think the murder house thing must be true.
What's that, the murder house thing?
That this must either be what's left of the murder house. That was my thought. I think this sort of has to be what's left of the murder house because, you know, we've seen a rubber man there, and this to me sort of hinted at ghosts. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get some murder housey things in the bunker, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of where my mind went.
Okay. Kenny, what did you think about it?
I mean, it didn't look like they were at, like, I mean, obviously, like, it didn't look like they were around the murder house, but I guess it wouldn't if everything exploded. I mean,
the house was really nice. It was definitely a brand new polished house. Yeah, I'm just still not catching that connection yet to why. Well, but then again, and I guess we'll talk about it at the end of this episode, but they probably will not remain at Outpost 3 much longer.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah. So I guess let me continue. I'm sorry, Kenny, what's up?
Is it safe to say that, I mean, what I'm starting to think is that those ghosts, like the rubber man, it's only going to happen once Michael's there. Maybe they follow him or something, and that's explaining that.
That is the thought. Maybe Tate and Vivian want to see their son. I don't know. And maybe they won't realize it at first.
Maybe not, but I think they would. I think that she would probably feel her son. I mean, she is a ghost. Maybe she is able to, maybe during the Devil's Night, she's been able to leave the house and gone to check up on him to see what he's done.
And let's throw like another bit out there, like maybe he knows. Maybe he
Maybe
knows.
Michael knows.
Yeah, maybe. Well, like let's think about it. His witch powers must be off the charts because he was able to tell that Kathy was out there killing his horses from the inside.
Yeah.
So, I feel like he'll be able to sense a lot of stuff. But I guess after all, he is actually the devil. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. When Emily and Timothy meet everybody for dinner, their clothing is extremely old. Even the technology in the house is extremely old. Evan's character, Mr. Gallant, mentions how the same song repeats every night, which is a throwback to Asylum. I just had to say that made me think of Asylum when Sister Jude made everybody.
That's what I thought too. I thought it had to be some sort of reference.
Okay.
It's a psychological thing, I guess. That's why they do that.
Okay. Well, Evan, Joan, Coco, and Dinah are in purple, and Mallory is in gray. That poor girl. I feel so bad for Mallory, but Billy Lord is playing this character so great.
I don't think we'll get much of her this season, unfortunately.
No, I don't think we will either, but she's serving a great purpose.
Also, I'm starting to think maybe our cast this season will sort of shift around in the next 10 episodes to where the names change weekly or bi-weekly, depending on who's leading. Because obviously we have Evan and Sarah, but other than that, everyone else seems to be really, really inconsistent. So I think that's definitely
Jackson?
not
I know,
there yet.
and he's even noted as a guest regular now. So
he was in the opening title sequence, so I guess we'll never know.
Well, I guess
I guess also I want to really throw this quickly out here. Rest in peace to Billy Eichner. His extended cameo lasted about 30 seconds, and I imagine that's all we'll see of him.
Absolutely. Now, guys, Coco goes loco at dinner, and Venable bitch slaps her back to her mother's womb. And Venable tells them that the world government has fallen, and people are basically out there killing for food and turning into monsters. Other outposts have fallen, so theirs is precarious. And we learned that there are 6 total outposts. And at dinner, everyone is tested because somebody went outside and I guess they checked the radiation level in the house constantly. Now, Evan and Stu test positive for the radiation and are scrubbed clean for decontamination.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The vibe I got from that is that they had sex unauthorized. Because they talked about like contamination and they were like 2 of the only gay characters, and that was the vibe I sort of got from that.
There was
like the way
Evan character there, the guy that was Stu's boyfriend, I guess.
Yeah, it made me like the vibe I got from that was that Stu and Evan cheated on whatever the other guy's name is. I have it in my notes. I wrote it down because I have some stuff to say about him. But I don't know. That's just the vibe I got from it.
What, Tami?
Andrew wants to know why we're not talking about the plane taking off by itself.
Because we don't know why it took off by itself. I would assume it was on autopilot, and I believe that they are technologically advanced nowadays.
I didn't know that's how autopilot works, but whatever.
Right.
No, they're technically sent to fly, just only not to take off. But like I said, they are technologically advanced nowadays. I'm sure that if you have enough money, you can afford a plane that can literally drive its ass itself.
Also, there was that guy that closed the door on the plane. I thought he was the pilot, and then he never got on.
No, he got beaten by, or he got killed by all the other airplane people that were like, let us on, which I don't blame them. But Stu cannot be saved from decontamination, and he is killed by Kathy Bates. And then
right into Stu.
Yeah, right.
He's so funny. They had to have thought about that because when they brought out that soup, I was like, oh, I see this joke coming.
Kathy is promoted to purple, and she meets with Venable. And together they talk about how basically they set Stu up and how it gave them a tickle, like the look on their faces when they knew that something bad was going to happen to them. And that it's only them, like Venable and Kathy Bates' character, not the cooperative. They're
Miss
not really
Mead, I think.
watching them. Yeah. And Kathy disputes that. She doesn't really believe that. And I'm really glad that she's keeping herself right. Now, at dinner, they feed the people meat, finally. Which, why the hell would you eat? You are all starving. The only thing you get is a tiny little cube from like a snow. What was that movie about the people, the snow movie? Where people were on that train in the world and it just kept circling. And they had to eat those little Jell-O cubes to stay alive. I forget the name too. Snowbound or something like that. But it's about a train that these people have to eat these little Jell-O cubes that give them enough nutrition to sustain them because the world has ended. And that's what it reminded me of. And dude, you always know if somebody is killed, you don't eat their freaking meat at dinner. I mean, I don't understand that. I just don't
Everyone
understand.
says the movie Snowpiercer, sis.
Snowpiercer, thank you so much. Yes, that's the movie I'm talking about. It's a pretty good movie. Go check it out if you guys haven't had a chance. It's pretty depressing though, I gotta say. So it was really funny though. At dinner, when they're fed this meat, everybody freaks out except for Joan. She eats the entire meal. I got to give it to her. She was a great comic relief this season to see her there.
Honestly, I'm with Joan. I would eat the stew too. I'm starving.
Hell yeah. I would probably go a little cannibal at that point.
I
meat.
also, in my notes, I want to make sure I hit on all these points because these are my favorite things. In my notes, I have in all caps, Joan fucking Collins, and then hyphen, so much fun. She looked like she was having a blast. Like this was like the best thing she's been able to do recently. And I am so happy for her because she looked like she was having the time of her life.
Absolutely. Can I
like in and out of character?
Can I get through the rest of the description though, or the rest of the synopsis? Because I just don't want to.
Oh yeah, that just came up. I just thought about
I'm almost done. Let's see. I love the quote. Basically, the one-liner of the week goes to Coco when at the dinner she screams, "Mallory, get over here and stick your finger down my throat."
That was hilarious.
I love Coco. Whoever writes for her is incredible. So the song changes in the common room after dinner, and the group takes it to mean that the cooperative is coming for them and is going to rescue them. So they start to celebrate.
18 months later.
Yeah, the show clips to 18 months later, and there is no rescue. I feel so fucking.
I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was hilarious.
I honestly would have rather died in the apocalypse.
What's wrong with
I didn't. Hair? Yeah. They don't have any hair care products.
Her hair suffers the worst tragedy of all. Poor Coco.
Hashtag Coco's hair.
I noted it too. Rations are low, and Coco's hair is a travesty. Timothy and Emily basically fall in love during these 18 months, but they can't do anything about it. They can only like kiss once a week or something like that. But people are getting pissed, and they're hungry, and they get pissed at Venable for it. And
I can't believe it took them 18 months.
That is a long 18 months. And right at the height of their anger, an alarm goes off in the house. And that means that somebody has breached their border. So they go out, or excuse me, they don't go outside. Kathy puts on like her little outfit. Goes outside.
I love those things. They look so cool.
And she goes outside, and there's a riding up to the outpost is a horse in a carriage. And somebody steps off of it. It's the cooperation, and they flash a badge, and on the badge is the name Michael Langdon. It was awesome. And when he enters the outpost, the murder house music starts to play. It's really
that was so fun.
And Michael says that he's there to take the worthy ones back to a new facility because all the outposts are failing, and that their new outpost won't fail. There's plenty of food, plenty of everything, and he's there to pick the new ones worthy of this new facility, and the ones who are not will stay to die. And that is the end of the episode.
And Kathy Bates kills his horses.
Yeah, Kathy Bates kills his horses. And he knows, too, because when she does it, I would assume that lead is covering the outside of the outpost and possibly the top of it. So he I don't know how he would be able to hear that. So
He's a witch.
pretty cool. Well,
He's
right. I mean, he obviously
he's,
used his power. That's what I'm trying.
he's
Yeah.
the devil, actually. But also, am I crazy? Or do you guys remember seeing Kathy Bates drag a whole ass horse by herself into the forest?
That wasn't her. I think that was the monsters that were in the woods.
Okay, I was so confused. I was like, what just happened?
Did you see that, Kenny? Was that the monsters or was that Kathy?
I thought it was Kathy. Granted, my TV was like the brightness, like it was really dark. I thought it was Kathy. I said, "Dang, that's like some upper body torso or something for her to
That's what I was
drag a
thinking. I
whole."
was like,
Look
damn.
at it. I thought it was monsters.
I would hope it's monsters.
I would hope it was too. I hope Kathy wouldn't eat something with radiation. And I don't know how she could. She couldn't lift up her hood and eat.
Maybe Kathy's a vampire.
She wouldn't be allowed back in. So I'll go back and look at that. What did you guys think in the comments? Let me know if that was Kathy or if that was Monsters in the Woods. Carlos says he saw several hands drag the horse.
Okay.
Nicole says it was a monster.
You know what I just realized? It's probably not Kathy. It's probably the zombies because we know they're roaming around.
Right. Cutie Cat 13 said raspers. So did Johnny. Johnny says raspers. And I'm thinking maybe, yeah, it could be the creatures that, from like Asylum or something like that. So
It's definitely probably the zombies. Ooh, that's a nice catch. What if these zombies are like the ones from Asylum? That's a thought. The first thing I have wrote down in my notes, and I don't know, this is just something that I sort of caught, and I caught it last season.
Mhm.
Leslie Grossman and Adina Porter's acting. I like them both, but every time they're on screen, there just seems to be something off. I don't know. It's
Idina?
probably just me. Idina and Leslie.
Oh.
Like, I don't know what it is about them, but they always take me out of it. I don't know. Something about them, they're fine actresses, but something about them just sort of takes me out of what's going on. And I go, you guys are kind of losing me. And I don't know what that is. I guess, like, I don't know. I'm not really sure what it is, but I don't want to hate on them. I've had the same discussion about them last season and Idina Porter and Roanoke. It is what it is. It's fine. Overall, everyone is great, though. Also, something we already talked about that was also in my notes was the costumes. Everyone looked fantastic. We may be only getting 10 episodes, but you can tell the budget for this season is through the roof.
Exactly. As well as the special effects. The special effects were really great, especially when the explosion happened. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic.
And that's the next thing in my notes. Sets, atmosphere, and effects. Everything just looked really polished, done, and like complete. Like it looks like they really took their time with this and made sure everything looked great. Yeah,
It had a hotel vibe.
A hotel vibe, sis? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
It definitely seemed like everything was perfect. Also, Kathy Bates, when the first moment she appeared on screen, I was like, wow, I missed you so much. She would have been so good in Cult last season. Like, I don't want to sound negative, but I'm glad her Netflix show got canceled because she is so good in American Horror Story. Everything she does in American Horror Story is flawless, and she's so entertaining. Also, I don't know about anyone else, but the episode to me seemed really quick.
I know. All of a sudden, it was halfway through it. I agree.
Like I looked at my phone and was just like, "Huh, what time is it?" We're like 20 minutes in. It was 9:48, and I was like, "Oh my god."
10 episodes at only an hour long. I know.
That's not good enough.
It's not long enough.
Yeah. And then of course I had the Joan Collins So Much Fun thing. And then Stu's boyfriend, Andre, it was played by Jeffrey Chapman. I looked this up. I wasn't happy with his acting. It seemed like a lot of overdoing it to me. that's all I got from that, and that's all I have for that. That's just something I noticed. Something else was Amazon Eve is back, and I'm so glad. I think that's just so cool that she gets to be in this season after taking a 3 season gap off. But I'm glad the everyone who does all the casting and stuff found her a part, regardless of if it's a big role or not. And then also, I'm glad they left us on a cliffhanger. I think like it really gets me pumped for next week. So yeah. Overall, I thought this episode was very good. I wouldn't call it the strongest opener in the show's history, but it definitely kept my attention, and I was very happy.
I definitely agree with that. What's up,
Yeah.
Panther Sound Studio? Nice to have you. People were asking us, Casey and Tami and Kenny, who we think was the person whispering to Timothy in the shower after the shower.
I don't know yet.
I think maybe Cordelia.
I don't know if that's even underneath the murder house at this point. I kind of thought it was, but
I'm starting to.
go ahead, Casey.
I'm starting to. Oh, sorry. I'm starting to think that when Michael says the new facility, maybe the new facility is the murder house.
Right, because didn't Venable mention it was a boys' school at one time?
Yes.
Outpost 3, so maybe the next outpost where Michael takes them, if he takes whoever he chooses, we'll see. So as far as a whisper, maybe, could be Cordelia or, somebody from the murder house warning them.
I
don't know.
definitely think it could be a witch. Jack Julian has the idea that the new outpost has to be the murder house. I think that's possible, but why wouldn't the ghost have shown up at this time? I mean, they'd been there 18 months and 2 weeks. If that was the murder house, the ghost would have shown themselves pretty early on.
Well, it doesn't make sense that I'm just confused because if the new outpost is at the murder house, then why do we see the rubber man at what looks to be where we're at now?
Because I think they're moving to a new outpost, remember, or they're moving to a better facility. And I think that he'll be at the better facility and not the outpost. I think next episode we'll be done with the outpost. He's going to test who he wants to take with him. And then maybe episode 3, it will be the final one.
You know what I just realized? I bet the whole next episode will be an Outpost 3, and it'll be him testing them, just like you said. And what if, crazy thought, what if the kids left alive, or that they took because they were chosen? What if, I think I might be dead on, and obviously this is just a theory. What if the kids they took, they did the DNA test so they could keep the witches?
Right, and they were flagged
in their blood.
Witchery ancestry. Yeah.
Yes. And another reason I don't think the Rubberman suit scene from the trailer is at this outpost is because in that scene we see them with a laptop, and I do not think Venable would allow laptops in her outpost.
Yeah, everything was very old-fashioned in hers, even down to the technology.
And I hate to break it to you guys, but in my opinion, Venable has 1 or 2 episodes left at best before we switch over to Cordelia, and then Cordelia gets the axe, and then we switch over to shoot, what's her name? Season 1 Sarah.
Billy Dean.
Yes, and then I think Venable's gonna get the axe within the next episode or 2, and then Cordelia's gonna get the axe after 3 or 4, and then we'll go to Billy Dean. So yeah, I definitely don't think Venable has long with us, but that's okay because she's such a fun character, and I'm enjoying every minute we get with her.
Logan, thank you so much for being a new sub. Guys, we will definitely be back next Wednesday to do episode 2 of Beyond the Horror, reviewing episode 2 of American Horror Story Apocalypse. Weekly Wednesday live stream is back next Wednesday as well. And yeah, I'll just have some new videos coming out for you. The review will be up tomorrow. There's no way I can do it tonight. I am so tired. And yeah, subscribe because anytime American Horror Story news breaks, I go live. And of course, I post reviews, theory videos, and we like to stream Beyond the Horror and review it with you guys. So absolutely subscribe. And like I said, show your love by giving it a like. And if you want to take it another step further, there is Super Chat. And then there is also my Patreon. But if you really want to help out, just hit that like button. That would make it $1 million to me. So overall, what did you guys think of the episode as far as rating? What would you give it as far as a rating?
Oh, I hate this part.
Every time, Tammy. Oh my God, I don't know.
I give it a 9. I give it, or excuse me, I give it a strong 8.5.
I
I'm gonna
think
have
an
to
8.
agree.
Okay, so Kenny agrees.
I'm gonna
I
go
think
with.
it at an 8.
An 8 from
I'm gonna
Tammy.
agree with Tammy, an 8.
God, Casey agreed with me for what? No,
Right?
No, really, I think this was a strong episode.
Yeah.
It was a strong episode, but with that being said, it didn't have anything. Like, it was a strong episode, but it didn't have like a wow factor moment that made me go, wow. Like,
It
I'm like,
did for me.
Well,
When
I
I
was
think
like-
all the girls would disagree, Casey, because they got to see Evan's ass again. So
And I gotta say, it was quite impressive when Venable showed up for the first time. When she
that scene was
that's
great.
after
amazing.
the decontamination. I can't see that tonight for some reason.
Obviously, I was dying because American Horror Story, favorite shows, is back on TV today. But like, really, I think this was a really solid episode, and I'm very pleased with what we have so far. I'm glad we have another 9 weeks to look forward to the show. And overall, I'm like really pleased. Like, I'm like generally so happy because I think this is just going to be a really stellar season, and I think they have lots of good ideas, and I think there's going to be lots and lots of twists and turns within the next 9 episodes because there's just so much they can do.
There's so much potential this season. I agree completely.
Like
Can
this,
I,
like
can I say something real quick? 'Cause,
Absolutely, Kenny.
I feel like something is gonna like leave my mind. I gotta piggyback off what Casey said because I'm like starting. It's like starting to come together now. Okay, he said something along the lines of the DNA ancestry thing because they have like witches in them, or some sort of DNA what's common to witches. Is that why Ryan was saying witches are gonna rule the world on Twitter? And maybe that's what's going on here. They're like,
What do you guys think of that?
that's definitely
I'm sorry, I was typing the chat.
Oh no,
sounds
it's
unlikely
okay.
to me. I
Kenny
think
was saying about how they did the DNA tests, and they might have picked only witches, and maybe that's what Ryan meant when he said witches are going to rule the world. This in like one of his tweets or something like that.
I think that'd be fantastic. The only problem is I'm starting to fail to see where we're going to be left with this world. Because essentially the only characters we have left to explore are new characters we haven't met, the surviving witches, and the ghost at the murder house. Because everyone not in a bunker is dead. Like, for sure. Absolutely dead. Dead.
We're
Zombies. Dead.
surviving a nuclear winter because it was just major cities that were bombed. But even when that happens, though, it's not that a bomb hits and it's over. No, not at all. There's famine, there's no food, and there's nobody there to produce anything. So I do believe that and Venable did say that people were out there still killing for food. So I definitely believe that the people are still out there if they haven't already turned into mutants from the radiation.
I don't know about you guys. But I'm hoping to see the return of Scum.
No, I think they're dead. Or they're mutants.
Things are not looking up for me.
Everybody in chat, sorry, chat, where's my mind? they're asking about what we think about the newscaster and his, the "we finally did it," what that was about.
I was going to go back and listen to that because I didn't understand what he meant. So the whole thing started, the apocalypse started because North Korea bombed us. London, Russia, they bombed basically everybody, which it doesn't make sense because that would essentially put them into nuclear war as well. This is something that would go global. So it didn't really make sense to me scientifically. But yeah, supposedly the nuke came from North Korea. And I got the impression that that's what he was referring to, that we had finally done it. We had finally pissed off North Korea, and
that's what I got too.
They came to kill us.
Also, you know what else is starting to come, the thought just popped into my mind after you said that? I just started thinking, the show's called American Horror Story. Wouldn't it make sense that the last thing chronologically to happen in the show, if we can assume the next 2 seasons take place sometime before this, if this season is going to take place in the future, wouldn't it make sense that the last thing to happen in this television universe of America is that the whole thing goes to shit and there's a World War III and it destroys the country? Isn't that the real American Horror Story? The whole thing just burns. And it's starting to make me feel really happy because I'm starting to realize maybe everyone working on the show's thinking hard, because Roanoke sort of gave us a very first day of America vibe, and Apocalypse is giving me a very last day of America vibe, and I think that's really interesting. Yeah.
Jason says if you're the only country in the world not hit, you'll survive. Well, that's not necessarily true. Just think about pouring dye into a pool of water. It will eventually infect the entire pool because that's what it will do. It will seep into everything. It won't just stop just at one state or at one spot and then infect the rest of it. Sadly, that's not the way that nuclear war works. Basically, it's like a super volcano has exploded and infected the world, sadly. But okay, guys, so we are coming up to the end of the live stream. Is there anything that you guys wanted to say or point out before we end the stream?
It's just good to be back.
Right.
Yeah. Glad to be back streaming. It's a lot of fun. Also, Sarah Paulson was completely right. Cody Fern was barely on screen, and I was already impressed with everything he did as Michael.
He had an incredible presence. I will agree.
I was like, wow. At the moment he came, I was like, wow. Okay, this is Michael. And honestly, the only other person I think has as strong a presence in American Horror Story, sorry, Evan Peters, was Jessica Lange and also, and maybe Lady Gaga. I love Evan Peters in American Horror Story, but with that being said, I don't think his presence is near as strong as Jessica Lange, Sarah Paulson, and maybe Lady Gaga. And Cody Fern, in his first 3 seconds of on television, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, that's what the 5th episode's called, Hail Satan or something.
Oh, it better be all about him then.
I don't know. This season is starting off really great, if you couldn't tell. I think we're all on the same page and that we're really excited and happy.
Love you too, Haley Twist. Thank you so much for your sweet words. Kenny, is there anything that you wanted to say as well about the episode before we end?
I just want everybody to bow their heads and hope that Angela Bassett returns.
Unfortunately, not this season. But
we got the trailer for 911, and every time I see it, I might have seen it 100 times, but every time I see it, it gives me goosebumps. It looks season 2 of 911 looks so great, and that's what she's doing right now. So they're filming all on the same set, which is kind of cool too, guys. It looks like 911 is going through an apocalypse, and then they're going through an apocalypse.
The first 2 episodes is September 23rd, 22nd and 23rd, I think, or 23rd and 24th. I'm not sure, those 2.
23rd and 24th.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think it's a 2-part opener to the season where there's an earthquake in California.
Yes, it is.
So that's going to be great.
Oh,
And I love Angela Bassett in American Horror Story. But with that being said, giving her her own show, I'd rather have her get her own show than her be an American Horror Story because I really love 911. Sorry, guys.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for Beyond the Horror. Thank you all so much for watching. And thank you so much to Kenny, Tami, and Casey for being here. Thank you so much.
For having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Michael, BRT, Alicia, Dawn, Debbie, to everybody in the comments who moderated the chat. And thank you so much to everybody who joined us. I apologize we couldn't get to every single comment. Obviously, it was, oh man, this hour goes through so quickly when we're reviewing the show. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been up since early this morning and I am really looking forward to going to bed. So
Same. We had to wake up this morning at 3 a.m. to be at band at 4 because we had to go to the state fair.
oh my God.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Glad American Horror Story was on. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much again for watching. Thank you again to my guests and my moderators. And you guys are awesome. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Join the Freaks of AHS on Facebook. Click it through the group.